the DreamHack Master StarCraft 2 Europe. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the current reigning champ of the season finals. I know it gets a bit confusing, guys, but he was the one who came out on top while we were all in Sweden. The man hailing from Italy, it is Reynor.
And in the top right-hand corner, we have got the blue Zerg player, Serral. Hatchery first from both, so already nothing too crazy to begin with, Roddy.
Nope. No 12 pools here, no drone pools. I mean, I'm actually kind of ready for everything here. I hope that Reynor can just give us one hell of a series and maybe even win. It'd be quite something. But like I said before, I really think that these guys, they play at such an exceptionally high level that, yeah, playing on the different circumstances in a completely different environment too. Let's not forget, it's not just about how things feel in-game. You're sleeping in a different bed, you know, you have just different daily activities than when you're just sitting at home. Yona, for him, it's business as always, business as usual. Meanwhile, Reynor is in, the holiday spirit, spending a lot of time in the pool, which is just a little bit different than I assume what Yona is doing.
Yeah, I feel like that's not quite what Serral's up to. just on the off chance kind of feeling, you know. Yeah, this is looking to be pretty kind of interesting series, especially for that reason. And it'll be cool to see, like you say, if Reynor does even kind of bring it up a notch, if he does try to play macro, if he goes even more aggressive than usual. There's so many questions to be asked, and this first game might be a pretty good indicator of what we're going to be seeing, what kind of mind games are on offer for us here today as well, and all that kind of stuff. As so far, though, so good. It is just super standard across the board, and it's only been 2 minutes, but a lot of the time, 2 minutes in CVZ can dictate a lot of different builds.
Absolutely. Now, this is a very, very important best of 5 for many reasons. Of course, if you win here, you guarantee yourself top 3. Top 3 means that you qualify for the season finals. And you may think that it goes without saying that these two are going to make it to the season finals. Well, last season, Serral did not. But even more concerning is that if you lose this series, you drop to the lower bracket where you have to go up against Clem. And Clem has been beating both of these guys over the last 4 to 5 months. I can't even remember the last time Serral or Reynor beat Clem. Like, we have to go back quite far, Waddy.
Yeah, no, it has been a while since that's been the case. Definitely a throwback to think about. Alien Nest, by the way, from Reynor is ticking along as Serral just makes a lot of lings, so he wants to get aggressive on that third base.
Yep, and it seems like he wants to skip. I want to skip out on the Bailing Nest, but he's going to drop the Bailing Nest. So Serral with a later Bailing Nest, but a initial investment in quite a few Zerglings. Reynor does have a couple of Overlords that are going to give him the heads up that these lings are coming. It's always so confusing between these two because I feel like they throw each other for a lot of loopholes as well, where normally when you see X, it means Y, but with these two, they know that X means Y, so they actually play around that kind of logic too. Serral is going to get on top of this hatchery, gets a surround, a couple of safety bailings from Reynor are going to try to keep this hatch safe. First bailing goes off with just a couple of Zerglings. Queen is going to be a bit exposed. I do think Reynor can keep this hatch alive, though. Gets a great hit there with one bailing connecting with 15 lings. Well, advantage Reynor.
Yeah, that's absolutely what you're talking about. Is now one bailing of Reynor will look for damage across the map again. This time hoping to maybe take an advantage that can turn into some further aggression. Serral trying to mic her onto it, and he does get it, but took a little while. And he has slowed Reynor down enough at least to maybe keep his own third hatch alive without too many issues. Reynor already set to tech up though. That +1 missile upgrade is on the way in. As that Ling Bane still around and still looking for some action.
Yep. Serral had an upgrade on the way, cancelled it, but now starts it up again. Serral goes for Carapace. Meanwhile, Reynor has got the much more usual +1 missile attacks on the way, and Reynor also starts his lair. A 10 worker advantage on the side of the Italian. Serral is going to do his best to catch up in drones, but that one bailing connection that Reynor got on his side of the map definitely puts him in a driver's seat so far for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. It really changed the pacing over there too, where Serral was going to be able to at least keep on being aggressive for a while longer. Yeah, now you can just see the worker lead that Reynor gets from just clearing out those lings so efficiently. And Serral going carapace instead of missiles as well. So he wants to play even a bit more aggression focused, right? Where you're kind of going to build roaches, you're going to play roach link. Whereas obviously Reynor is just setting up for roach speed and just roaches in general. Serral's is more of a timing focus here. So let's see what he can do with it, if he can find anything with it. The first roaches are on the way. Reynor's still droning though.
Yeah, Reynor definitely needs to stop droning. It's like he is more than far enough ahead. Serral is all-inning Reynor here. Reynor is already at 63 drones, 65. He's making more. My goodness, Wardy. This is a bit of a misread by Reynor, as he does have an Overlord finishing up into, or that's morphing into an Overseer, and he's going to get a bit of a scout off. But isn't this going to be a little bit too late? As maybe if he just holds that roach button down now, forever, makes nothing but roaches, it's going to be good enough. But Serral is sending everything he's had to the other side of the map. Reynor gets the confirmation. There is no lair on Serral's side, so he knows he needs to take this super serious. Fires up 8 roaches, but will they be out in time?
I mean, they're gonna probably be out, but are they gonna be in the right places, you know? Because them spawning and, you know, is very different to them already being in the position they want to be in. Serral will have the Banes to help bust through this as well. This is such a powerful attack, and Reynor does not seem ready for it at all. His Morphing Banes to the frontier, 2 of them get cancelled. 2-2 finish, and Serral pulls back away from them. Now they both go off without too much effect. And if Serral can just get in here, he can put a cancel on these spine crawlers. And I mean, he's just going to overrun, right? It doesn't feel like Reynor can get enough units in the right places. He's just trailing a few from the right side. Lings and a couple of roaches going to fight over there. Drones pull in to fight this too. That's obviously Reynor's worker advantage now disappearing, and he still hasn't really dealt with this army. One spine at least did finish, but he is still in a lot of trouble, still pulling drones, and roaches are still falling by the wayside as each moment goes on. There's drones even pulled on the third base to try and help against those Zerglings. And Serral, of course, at this point does start to attack up further, but even has more units on the way because he knows this is not done yet. And he's going to stream Lings all the way across. And this is, to me, this is kind of funny, Roddy, because I feel like usually it's Serral that over drones and gets a bit caught off guard in these scenarios with Reynor attacking. But this is obviously the complete other way around this time.
Yeah, it's funny because they played on this map against each other when Reynor was here, and I feel like almost the exact same game happened with Serral indeed going for a hatchery tech type of all-in. Reynor is still in this one, but I think he's ready to tap out, as he doesn't just lose his 4th hatchery, he's going to lose the 3rd as well. He's not done losing drones yet either by the looks of it, and there is no saving this game anymore, and I think Reynor needs to know that. I mean, he's down 23 workers, he's down in army supply, and Serral's even getting further ahead in the upgrades. I mean, by the time that Serral started quote-unquote transitioning, I think he'd already won the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is just going to be seeing this 4th hatch is setting up from Serral. He really has just got everything he needs to take this one home, which, well, I mean, strong start. I gotta say, I feel like a lot of this game, though, Reynor didn't look too bad. You know, micro-wise, etc., he looked fairly comfortable, looked, you know, didn't look alarming, so that's something maybe noteworthy and positive to take from game 1 going into the rest of the series. But yeah, definitely felt like he was in a bit of holiday mode, just carefree droning, not giving a care in the world about what might be coming his way next.
No, seems like he does bring the fighting spirit today, because I'm actually really surprised that Reynor is still in this game. I know that we just saw Clem making a marvelous comeback against Sol, but this would be an even bigger one. So Reynor is going to try to make a few roaches, but he is getting super outproduced. The one thing, like, I think you make a solid point there. Reynor's early game looked good, and he mostly lost this game because of a misread and just a bit too much greed on his side. But what is also alarming is that I did not feel this was a perfect game from Serral. Serral was supply blocked at one point when he shouldn't have been supply blocked. He had 4 or 5 overlords on the way at once. And when all the roaches showed up in the natural of Reynor, Serral was actually sitting at 1,000 minerals. That doesn't normally happen, Waddy. Normally he spends every penny he has if he goes for a timing attack. So this was by no means a perfect game out of Jonas Vitala, but it still transitions into a convincing victory for him as he takes the 1-0 lead off the back of an attack that he got Reynor with before. He doesn't tack up to lair, he just makes a lot of roaches and reinforces those roaches with links, and he gets the first one on the board.
Best one on the board, and I know Serral will think a lot of that and be very happy with that as well. As we start off with Serral dominance, see what game number 2 will bring us. It's time for Beckett Industries, so already time to maybe get into a bit of a crazy situation here, Roddy, because again, this is a shorter map. This is a map where attacks will hit very quickly. You cannot afford to be caught off guard on this one. You can't be making the wrong read, because if you are, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's why we may be expecting a lot of hatch tech all-ins and just very safe, kind of slow plays to build up on Beckett.
Reynor just visited me. Hell yeah. I'm not sure.
What does that mean?
I had a little chat with him before the game where I was asking him, like, how's the setup? You feeling okay? And then he said, like, well, I'm playing on the hotspot of my phone. So far, 60 ping should be fine. So he seemed all right. And now I just got a hell yeah. And I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. Not going to respond. We'll just let the boys play their best of 5. And we'll see if they have any messages for us when it's all said and done. What we do know is that Serral takes the 1-0 lead in a game where I honestly don't think that Serral looked as good as Serral could look. It's just that he went for an attack and Reynor got a bit too greedy.
Well, let's see if either of them sharpen up a little bit for game number 2 on Beckett Industries. As mentioned, it really is a map where you can't afford those misreads. You don't have time to make something happen if you start to fall behind or if you start to be unprepared for an attack. You got to be on top of absolutely everything, as we will start in the bottom left corner. Up 1-0 from ENCE Esports. It is Serral.
Who's now 18-1, by the way, in this season of the DreamHack Masters Fall. That's pretty outrageous. In the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the Italian Zerg, the reigning champ of the season finals. It is Reynor.
That is pretty outrageous.
Sorry, mate, go ahead.
I was just going to say that is a pretty outrageous scoreline.
Reynor, of course, still representing Clash and Red Bull. Didn't mention it, but he's always showing that off with either a tank top or a hat. And of course, there's the beautiful Clash logo next to his hatchery.
Yeah. Very pretty. As both go hatchery first, so neither of them second guess themselves or thinking that maybe there's something aggressive coming and tries to get ahead with like a pool first opening against like an early pool or so. So again, for the first few moments at least, a somewhat honest game between the two of them. Full before gas though from Reynor.
Yep, no, the other way. Yeah, exactly. Reynor is going for the pool first and takes the extractor a bit later. Meanwhile, Serral took the extractor a bit early and then dropped the spawning pool. There's a chance that maybe Serral is looking to be aggressive once more with some links. Maybe he just wants to apply some pressure to Reynor, put him out of his comfort zone, force him to micro immediately and react to whatever he's throwing at him. Last game, it didn't quite work out. It doesn't happen too often that we see Serral run 14 links, I believe it was, into a single baneling. And it definitely gave Reynor the edge in the early game, but did not impact the outcome.
No, absolutely. It feels like the sort of thing that's not going to happen more than once this series, right? For sure. So would be surprised, but we have seen Serral, of course, looking a bit more mortal over the last year or so. And yeah, I mean, obviously looking great in this tournament, but then, yeah, he runs 15 Banes into a Ling or something, you like, or 15 Lings into a Bane, and it's like, uh-oh, maybe still a little weaker than we're used to.
Yeah. But then you look at him being 18-1
yeah,
in this
exactly,
tournament.
right.
And you're like, maybe he's not. Maybe he's still Yona the GOAT. Yona the God, call him how you want. Reynor goes up to 3 bases before Serral does. Serral's still just building a couple of drones. There is no drone in location or on position yet to potentially morph into a hatch. I'm curious to see where Serral wants to go here, as Serral has also not started Ling speed, by the way, Wardy. He has mined 180 gas, no Ling speed for Reynor either. This is a bit unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, both of them just bypassing that and saying, you know what, let's go straight into, well, Evo Chamber and a Rotron from Serral already as well. I mean, obviously it can work out, right? It's not kind of like, you see it every now and again, but to see both players skipping Ling speed, I feel like that's kind of crazy.
I like this.
Yeah. Mind game starts the Ling speed to make it look as though he is going for it. So again, trying to sell false information. We already talked about how so much of this series will be about that.
Yep, nothing is really what it looks like when these two go up against each other. It almost felt that Reynor let that Ling squeeze by on purpose. And it's like, yeah, I'm going up to 3. But like what Reynor is doing here is actually insane. If Lambo was casting this game, Lambo would go nuts. Be like, he's going up to 3 bases, 3 minutes into the game, and he doesn't even get circling speeds. Like, you can't do this. Like, this is illegal. It's something that the Koreans would do. But it felt that Reynor just knew exactly what kind of a game Serral was going to play here. On the other end, I'm starting to get a bit concerned when I look at the timing of that Roach Warren of Reynor. It is quite late, and I feel like he's just going to overdrone again, man, because Serral is not tacking up to a lair. Serral is cranking out as many roaches as he could, and he's probably going to even send the queens to the other side of the map. The 33 drone attack, also a Lambo special. Lambo does macro a lot, by the way, guys. Don't worry.
No, this is looking scary for sure. Reynor needs to pick up on this. These feelings going forward. He's going to see roaches already out. He has started spying, so he's got an idea of needing to be at least a little bit defensive. So yeah, I mean, obviously he sees no third base, right? And he's on a third base, so it makes sense that he wants to be the defender. And he is starting to make those roaches off of off of a 10-worker lead. Serral has work to do, but like you say, the queens are coming too, so he's going to throw everything possible at Reynor here.
Yep, Serral sending all 4 queens to the other side of the map. A couple of these roaches are even going to morph into Ravagers. Serral will have +1 a little bit before Reynor, so there could be that split moment where Serral does have an upgrade advantage. Reynor could absolutely justify to pull drones here, by the way, if the time is right, if there is a right moment to pull drones, because he's up a base, and all he really needs to do is hold Wardy. But can he hold? Serral is reinforcing with links, but you don't have link speed, my friend.
I know, but I mean, at least it's a shorter map, right? Corrosive Vials finally going to hit the Spine Crawler. No, it dodges again and it gets transfused. So Spines are holding for a very long time, but what isn't holding is Reynor's Roach count. And as this Spine Crawler goes down, we move through. A couple roaches still taking damage. Another Spine on the low ground goes down. And now it feels as though Serral maybe can just keep on pushing through. He's going to find himself an Overlord kill as well. And he's also going to get the Roach Roar, which means he can probably just keep on being aggressive, because then Reynor obviously can't rebuild units. And obviously Serral still can. And that will be the big problem if Reynor can't turn this around convincingly right now.
Well, Reynor does have a few more roaches, but he doesn't have the Ravager count that Serral has. He is starting to chip away at this queen count, though. Is Reynor actually starting to hold? Even though he lost the Roach one, he needs to rebuild it. Reynor's like, I may as well start a lair. He's going to get on top of these Ravagers' body. I really thought that Serral pretty much had it. But Reynor gets units coming in from every single angle, and it's just enough to push Serral back. So Reynor stabilizes with a base advantage and a 12 drone lead.
Man, I was absolutely sure Serral was just going to have like units running in that Reynor just wouldn't be able to deal with once that Roach Warden went down, but it just felt like Serral's reinforcements never arrived. And I get it, they're roaches, they're not the fastest, but it's also Beckett, and that's why I thought for sure they were going to be there, but nope. Was not the case, and Reynor does indeed hold, and Serral, I'll try and hunt down an Overlord right now. I'm going to have a little bit of a problem trying to hit the bile on it, but yeah, Reynor's going to finish up his lair. He's already on his way to a Carapace upgrade. And Reynor is looking pretty good with that hold and a big worker lead, as previously mentioned by yourself.
He is looking very good in this one. I really thought that Serral had it, especially when he started gunning down that Roach one, and you said it, he even gets an Overlord. You're like, all right, now we're just adding insult to injury, and he's going to run away with it. But all those reinforcements of Reynor popping from the third, from the natural, a couple of them from the main, fired up all those roaches before that Roach one went down. Now Serral definitely has his work cut out for himself. Let's get another Overlord, so this is definitely starting to add up, but he's still down quite a bit in army supply.
And fellow Roach is going to start picking through some rocks, as obviously Serral wants to clear out some space between his bases, but yeah, he is hurting. And hurting badly, lots of army supply to catch up on. That's going to be difficult when you're even still just a couple workers behind, so... he is doing a nice move with these 4 Ravagers, so he's picking off a couple Overlords here and there, supply blocking Reynor, and that is the kind of thing that helps. This is the kind of thing that's going to pull you completely back in the game. Don't really think it should be. Then again, Reynor is going to have this one big push, right, where he's going to just go with Carapace upgrade, and maybe if Serral can hold on against this, because he's got that defender's advantage, maybe that will be Serral's way back in, but it ain't going to be easy.
Yep, of course, all the queens went down before as well, since I had to rebuild those too. He does know about these units from Reynor coming in from the top side, so he can start getting ready. There is still a little Ravager advantage on the side of Serral. Maybe he can use Corrosive Vial to zone it out. Reynor is just getting in real deep, right on top of all these units of Serral. Wardy, Serral's down quite a bit in army supply. Can he somehow hold like Reynor did?
It's going to be really tough. Those Corrosive Vials forcing Reynor back, not really connecting. And now Reynor's going to be able to jump on top of this. It was so close. We thought Serral had broken through, and Reynor was just about able to find that defense to tie this series up 1-1. And we are now tied up, and ready for game 3 with everything on the line, of course, in this best of 5. Looking to see who might take that advantage continuing through in the series. So exciting stuff. I think, I was convinced that I think Reynor was just kind of doomed there because I really saw just too many units. But as these guys are so good at, they are able to defend and pull out defenses when all else seems lost. And that was absolutely one of those moments from Reynor.
And Reynor was really able to spend every single penny right before that roach one went down. So he already had a lot of roaches coming in from every angle. I don't think he really over-droned this one because he had 10 drones more than your opponent. And that's kind of a decent amount to have when you're being attacked. And I love how decisive Reynor was. The moment the roach one went down, he's like, all right, I've got a couple brootlings. It ain't much, but it's honest work and it could very well make the difference. And it really did kind of allow him to just get on top of all those queens immediately. And the moment the queens went down, suddenly the Ravages became a bit more squishy too. Well done. That was quite a hold because it felt that Reynor had almost nothing anymore. It's like, yeah, a lot of units in production, but what we see so often then is that they all come from one angle and a couple of them get picked off immediately, and then Serral just has more, but that wasn't the case.
Reynor seems ready to play against you, mate. He's hyped to take you on. You were in the player spot for a moment. You got that, yeah?
It's so funny, actually. When he was here, we decided to play a couple games. I played against his Protoss, his Terran, and his Zerg. And first we did the PvP, and I did get him, even though Reynor's Protoss is very good. So I walked downstairs, and I'm like, hey, man, you're doing all right, you're doing all right. And he was actually so upset about losing a PvP. Then we had a PvT that he barely won. And then he crawls up the stairs. He's like, you doing okay over there? I'm like, mate, piss off. Like, pretty funny. So, yeah. I can understand that he would like to play against me instead of Yona now. Not gonna happen. Let's go ahead and hop into game 3 between these two, the two titans of the European scene. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the man who just lost his second map in this season of the DreamHack Masters Fall. Hailing from Finland, representing ENS, it is Serral.
And in the top right-hand corner, our red Zerg player from Clash is Reynor.
It almost felt that Reynor became an Italian spy there, and he somehow knew that this was a build that Serral was going to do, because Reynor's build order is actually not legal. You can get a fine for that in certain countries, because he goes up to 3 bases without Zergling speed, and he just keeps droning. And he did fake it, of course, when Serral scouted. Serral's probably quite happy. He's like, oh yeah, he's getting Zergling speed. That's exactly what I'm going to go up against. Well, that's not what Reynor was doing, but that was about as much of a blind counter, I would almost call it, as I feel like one could possibly do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's you're right. It's outrageous that you get to go to 3 base without link speed, because I mean that's why Serral didn't, because he was I don't have link speed, so I'm just gonna do the normal thing. I'm gonna sit back and just be a good little Zerg, no link speed, and on 2 bases like you're meant to be. And Reynol's like, yeah, well, I'll do the same, but with an extra hatchery. And that obviously helps out kind of a lot.
Despite that, it still felt at one point Serral had enough, and he found himself in a good spot, took out the Roach Warren, got an Overlord on top of it, the cherry on the cake, and you're like, yeah, now these queens will just transfuse any low HP units, and Serral gets it right. I mean, he did have a couple of slow reinforcing Zerglings. I don't know if that's just because he wanted to spend every mineral he had and he had no more gas, or if that was a little mistake, but yeah, reinforcing with slow links obviously seems silly, but he didn't make too many, so I don't know if that's really why he lost. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, it's tough to pinpoint on that. If he made like 20 on ball, it was really just like a handful, so... Well, once again, nothing too outrageous this time as we go into just link speed each. Obviously, last time no link speed was a little bit crazy. This time we're back to the normal for 2,000 atmospheres. Can't say I'm all too surprised.
Serral is not going to do anything wild in this one. So far, this entire best of 5, by the way, Serral definitely being the cheeky one, of course, in game 1, first making all the links, and then following up with that hatchery tech all-in of the roaches and +1 carapace and all the links. And then in game 2, going for the 33 drone, 4 queen roach ravager attack. So once more, it really feels like the roles have switched between these two over the years. At first, always Reynor being the cheeky one, being the aggressor, trying to catch Serral off guard. And it felt like ever since 2019, it's been the other way around, where it's Serral trying to keep Reynor honest and trying to catch him off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to be seeing the Roach Ronald drop down here at the front from Reynor. So he's just going to go straight at that as he builds a lot of Lings. Obviously, the idea being he wants to be the aggressor. If Serral has Banelings, he does not want to defend against Banes. He wants to fight Banes on Serral's side of the map, because then he has a lot more space to run around to deal with those Banelings before he's backed into a corner. So that will be the go-to here as we get ourselves into this. And well, a couple of Banes morphing from Serral defensively. One gets cancelled, diving for the other, will not go down. And can he protect it against the rest of these Lings? He can, but it's still stuck in the corner. It can't get out. Can he free it? He can, and it's finally going to get away to hit on just a couple of Lings. And that means that Reynor's attack will continue for a few moments. The Queen in the corner is just going to keep herself alive. Wow.
Look at the HP on both of these queens. One queen was left with like 2 or 3 HP, the other one with 25. Reynor is gonna queue up a couple of roaches, and Serral had 2 Zerglings stuck in the top left side that he brings back home now, which I'm really surprised by. Okay, now he's gonna send them back into the main base of Reynor. I know that Reynor is running around with a couple of Lings in the main, but that's not that important. This scout of Serral is very important, because he just saw those roaches pop.
Yeah, he did. It's just going to be seeing our Lings. Serral going to go running out across to the other side of the map, and they're going to try and put some pressure onto some bases. But there's roaches here, and now a Baneling nest from Reynor as well. I would say that kind of feels like he wants to just go Ling Bane Roach all in, but he's getting an Evo Chamber too, maybe as a...
I think it's fake.
I don't know.
I almost think that Evo Chamber is fake.
That's what
Serral
I
does
thought.
find a pickoff, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense, Waddy. I think you're spot on. I'm like, ooh, these Banelings of Serral.
Yeah.
Could see all these Lings of Reynor. Saw definitely a couple of them. I mean, there's no way that Serral is going to get fooled by an attack. Reynor's Evo Chamber has finished up, but he's still just making nothing but units. Reynor needs to attack. He's down 10 drones. He's up a little bit in army supply, but this game is really not shaping up very pretty for Reynor. But as this is unfolding, he is going to squeeze out a couple of drones. I'm officially lost and confused in this game. Let's see if Reynor can get something done.
I think he's just realizing the attack's not quite going to work, so he's going to try and partially attack and maybe hope Serral, trades not so great against it, but holds, and then he can somewhat transition behind it while Serral struggles a bit more. But Serral is not struggling here at all. Pulls back against that Baneling too, and he holds with ease. So yeah, Reynor not looking great. At least now he's on a worker lead, but in theory, that's where Serral can maybe take advantage of this, and he can go and put his +1 missile advantage to use. I'd be surprised if Serral didn't make use of that at all.
Yep, Serral is going to queue up 11 drones and start up his lair, though, so he's not going to hit immediately. I mean, well done by Reynor there. It felt like a kind of an in-between, a little bit of everything, but definitely found some damage, and he also found a way to catch up economically. He is down in upgrades quite a bit, as Serral is gearing up for a pretty big run by. It seems like Serral lost a couple drones at home against Banelings, I assume. Gets another queen, by the way, as Reynor got so close to killing queens, not once but 3 times in this game. It's Serral who actually gets the kill on these queens.
Yeah, Serral just finding the better end of all of this. He starts up Carapace. His lair wasn't done to start +2 missiles, so already going into his next upgrade along. And well, with lair on the way, he's going to have that roach speed advantage as well. So against Serral, really, with just all the leads here, all the advantages, really, apart from a work lead right now, but that's something which feels like he's catching up in fairly quickly. But I guess it is Reynor with another 8 workers in production. I mean, he is going to keep a reasonable worker difference, but then is Serral just gearing up for an attack? No, he's also now droning again.
I think it's very hard for these two to also figure out what the other guy's doing. Good job there by Reynor, getting a single Zergling to activate one of those 2 defensive Banelings. Reynor losing 6 more drones at home. I don't even know where that happened. Maybe, I don't know. They're both losing just workers left and right. Serral does have that upgrade advantage. I mean, Reynor is finally going to get +1 missile attacks, but Serral is about to be on 1-1, and he is going to be the one that drops a Spire, as Reynor is going for a little Ling run by in the natural in the main base. Finally gets one of those queens he's been trying to kill for so long, and gets a perfect scout on the Spire.
Now knows what he's up against, and this means he can prepare accordingly. Do you think Serral just goes with like a ton of roaches and says, yeah, you prepare against the Spire and I'm not actually going to use it? Or do you think he still goes into it?
Well, looking at the production tab, I think that roach call by you could very well be onto something. On the other end, Reynor still has that Ling around. He's like, still morphing a lot of stuff. He's trying to see as much as he can. Reynor is going to drop a Hydra Den. As Serral is also gonna get a scout off with his overseer on the other side of the map. It's nice to have that spy, you know? Like, imagine a world where Serral does lose a fight, he can always queue up a couple of mutas. Like, Reynor can't possibly be aggressive now with only roaches, and I gotta say, it feels so wild to be out that far on the map with slow roaches, but he will get away with it.
It's been that kind of game where just wild things happen, and he is going to get back home without issue. And yeah, I mean, Serral starts his own +2 missiles. He starts with a couple mutas to maybe just clear out overlords, and then, you know, to basically take away map vision, force hydras, and then you can maybe still strike with a large roach force. But now it's Reynor, who I like the position of a lot more. You know, his base is up on the top side. That 12 o'clock has been up for a little while. He's had that worker lead for a substantial amount of time because he was just that bit greedier throughout. And Reynor seems to be getting away with a lot of things. The only thing he's really struggling with is he doesn't have a carapace upgrade where Serral does. That might come into effect if Serral takes that larger roach fight approach in the near future.
It seems like Serral is just going to try to make a lot of banelings too, right? Because baneling speed is about to finish up, and now you look at the amount of links that Serral is producing. Reynor is going to build 4 spore crawlers, which is exactly what Serral is hoping for. And Serral has only invested in 2 mutalisks. That's it. It's only these 2 mutas. So these 4 spore crawlers of Reynor are complete overkill. But yeah, Reynor is showing some respect to the mutas. He is going to try to make some magic happen. These hydras, by the way, are still slow. Hydra speed is about to finish up, but Serral already has quite some banelings, but the banelings need to come in from an angle where the roaches of Reynor are not protecting these hydras.
Yeah, we'll see if they'll get the chance to. There's a couple of them morphing in. Here come the rest. Well, that's not really the angle, but he is going to find a couple of gaps. The hydras go running. They're splitting away. If nothing else, this gives Reynor a lot of time where he's fighting with all... Serral a lot of time where he's fighting with all of his roaches, and Reynor was doing nothing but running, and that's going to make a big difference in this fight for sure. As you're going to see Serral overwhelming and continuing to push across the map. He'll finish up his own upgrade in a moment too, but Reynor just can't get enough units out right now. That was a devastating fight for Reynor.
Yep, it's very similar to what happens to Terran players when they are forced to run away from Purification Novas over and over again. You may keep your units alive, the split may be good, but your units are not fighting. Serral, all of his units were fighting. Reynor, only 30 or 40% of his army was fighting. And that is going to give Serral the confidence to just fully go for it. Can he break Reynor here? He does have a couple of Ravages. Reynor does have a ridiculous amount of defensive roaches coming up, but he's still down quite a bit in army supply, and these Ravages are forcing Reynor to move further back, and this hatchery is starting to run super low in HP. I think Serral has done it with a couple of mind games. He definitely bamboozled Reynor there a bit. Reynor did not expect that amount of banelings. Those banelings, the connections, maybe they weren't even the best, but the fact that they forced Reynor to just run away completely is what allowed Serral to win that fight so decisively.
Absolutely, as this Roach Ravager backs away through the center of the map, I'm just going to be seeing, well, I mean, he's obviously just going to look for some more fights, just going to take down these rocks. And Reynor's going to try and counterattack a little bit. Anything and everything you can do to try and slow Serral down, make him look elsewhere, make him not end this game. And I can't blame him for trying, but it's probably not quite going to be enough.
We've had a couple of comebacks today, so I ain't calling anything yet anymore, Marty, but I'm with you. If you look at the numbers here, things look incredibly bad for Reynor. Down in upgrades, down in army supply, down in bases, and down economically. Yeah, well, what does he have going for himself? He's got one Ravager more. How good can this one corrosive Val be?
Well, we will find out as Serral starts to attack on in. I mean, he's about to lose the Roach Roar in Reynor, so now he can only really build Hydras, which isn't really what you want in these Roach Ravager fights. It's not what you want at all, actually, as we just keep on pushing through. Drones are dropping, and Reynor is going to have to keep on backing it up as Serral continues on forward. A lot of these Ravagers continuing to go down, and this is just going to be Serral. Maybe if he ends up getting pushed back, okay, but he will have the reinforcements because he's got the drone count now as well. You know, he has this over the longer period of time, no matter what, I think.
And let's not forget that he also has the Roach Warren, something that Reynor does not have anymore.
Yeah, it's also useful.
Yeah, so Reynor's going to be forced to build nothing but Hydras. He's going to chase this down a bit. Reynor sort of holds, but down even more workers, down even further economically, still down a base. It almost seems that Reynor's Hail Mary play is going to be the Lurker then. Make a couple Lurkers, run them on top of Serral's army. But these are not going to be your dream Lurkers. They won't have the range upgrade. They won't have adaptive talents. So they are honestly going to be a bit underwhelming. And even the Ravagers can deal with those kinds of Lurkers.
Absolutely, as we push on in, and just going to be seen once more Serral having the army supply advantage and keeps on running on through. All of these hydras going down. GG is called, and Serral is going to take the 2-1 lead in this best of 5. That was a bit of a tough game, bit of a weird game, a lot of weird things happening, lots of mind games as you mentioned, but Serral coming out on top, Roddy.
Yeah, Serral definitely some phenomenal early game micro on the queens. Where in that first game or the game on Juggernaut, we were like, oh, that could have been better, that could have been better. The way that he kept those queens alive for as long as he did, that is insane. Little bit unlucky for Reynor, because no matter how good Serral is, nobody saves a queen on 2 HP. Like, not once, but 2 or 3 times. That is where you're getting a tiny bit unfortunate. It does mean that Serral takes the 2-1 lead after just kind of, throwing Reynor for a loop, right? Going for the Spire, 2 Mutas, forced out 4 Spore Crawlers. Reynor made a bunch of Hydras, then just ran up a ramp and suddenly ran into 20 Banelings. And the Banes may not have been that impactful, but they forced Reynor to just run, and that's why Serral was able to get such a good fight at the bottom side of that engagement. We're gonna go get ready for a quick 3-minute break, and after that we'll be back with Serral versus Reynor, Game 4.
Welcome back, everybody, to this Reynor Serral series, which Serral leads 2-1. As we have been seeing some fun mind games being a bit crazy. Once the gameplay is taking leads and the other guy getting the game back, Roddy, because Reynor definitely was advantaged at points in that game. His drone count went up high very quickly, and Serral's really did not. It really lagged behind.
Yep, it felt that Serral was gearing up for an attack, then he quite wasn't, then again, but then he wasn't, so maybe he was just very worried, or Reynor did an amazing job in scaring him a bit, because for instance that slow roach move out that I mentioned, that obviously is with the idea of like, hey, I'm coming, and then Serral was like, oh no, I need to build roaches, and it seemed like a lot of these little things were working out for Reynor, but then eventually maybe a bit of a misread against the Muras, because the spores were unnecessary, but I don't think he lost the game because of the spores. He mostly just lost because he took that awkward fight up a ramp and then got surprised by all those banelings. And yeah, if half of your army is running away, the other half is having a very tough time fighting against 85% of the forces of Serral. Serral was able to close it out off the back of mostly that fight, I think.
No, absolutely. That fight was the game changer. We got a light shade for map number 4, and let's see what the two of them will bring us as we maybe have the last game of the series if Serral can keep it going. Otherwise, Reynor is maybe looking to take us to a game 5. We've been there once today with that PvP to start the day. Let's see if we get some in the ZVZ as well. This day of mirrored matchups continues right now with more ZVZ action on Lightshade. Bottom right-hand corner, now Red Zerg leading, sorry, not leading, but down 1-2 is from Clash. It is Reynor.
He was leading the order of the introductions, Waddy. Save it there. In the top left side of Lightshade, we're looking at the main base of the man who missed out on the season finals last season. He wants to make damn sure that that does not happen again. This is Serral.
And he can do that with a win right now. Obviously, just go straight to the season finals. Wouldn't that be nice? And it does almost feel like for the first time in a long time, Serral is playing for that rather than just playing to win the whole thing. You know, he's like, you know, let's guarantee season finals first, then I can worry about winning everything. Usually we just expect Serral at the season finals, but of course last season was a bit of a rude awakening in that regard.
Yep, but this season it could very well happen again. If Serral does not end up winning this best of 5, he drops down to the lower bracket where Clément is waiting. And we all know Clem's TVZ. I mean, I can open a legal lag, but I generally do not remember the last time that Serral beat Clem. I think it would be before the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, because even at IEM Katowice, Clem eliminated Serral from the tournament.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was a while ago. I'm trying to think maybe like if there was even a series this year that Serral won against Clem.
Okay, there was a best of 1 in the Champions Brawl, but I don't
count best of 1 though.
No. So we have to go back to 2020, the ESL Pro Tour last chance qualifier. That's where Serral took a 3-2 victory over Clem.
Wow. That was a while back. That's what, December?
Yep. Yeah, December.
That's kind of crazy, actually. Like when you really just stop to think about it. How many times have they played since then?
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 of them, or 2 best of 3s and 2 best of 5s.
Wow. That's pretty. That's actually a pretty serious win streak that Clem's got racking up there. It's crazy.
His win streak over Reynor is even crazier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's actually kind of disgusting, the win streak against Reynor. I know that one.
8 or 9. The last time he lost was in one of your tournaments. All right, focusing on the ZVZ then at hand. The loser of this series will have to worry about Clem a little bit later. And Serral does identify that Reynor is going up to 3 bases. Serral's doing the exact same thing. Neither playing doing something wild like skipping a baneling nest. Last game was a bit weird as well, right? Reynor's build was kind of bizarre, man, where he like first skips the baneling nest, but then he still goes for the baneling nest. Then he has an evolution chamber. First doesn't use it, but then does use it. I wonder if that was indeed just because he identified that Serral was going to be very ready for whatever attack he had in mind, or if it was his plan all along just to make these games as confusing as possible.
Well, it definitely made the games confusing, that's for sure. As we do see an evolution chamber starting from Reynor, just really kind of differentiate the two of them right now. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. As the Evo of Serral just a little bit behind, not too far though.
No banelings morphing on the opponent's side of the map. Just a couple of defensive banelings for now. Serral does get a ling into the main base. A lot of pros in the European scene will always praise Serral for his ability to Get links in there. When it feels like scouting should be very difficult, Serral's always there looking for an opening. And just having one happy Zergling running around in your opponent's main could give you a lot of useful information. Even if in this case there is nothing crazy to see, just the fact that you know there is nothing crazy is already a good scout by itself.
Knowledge is a lot, has a lot of power in it in StarCraft 2, that's for sure. So yeah, definitely good to know about that kind of stuff. As we do have Lings making them way around the center here a little bit as well. Obviously, we just got this Ling Bane down, so let's start up on both sides.
It's so weird that Serral is morphing one Baneling here. It's so random.
Yeah, I guess just wants to join up with these Lings for an attack, but like, yeah, just the one. It's that wouldn't have been my go-to guess as to what was about to happen there.
Okay, kill some larva, and it does put. Okay, that is, I guess, one way to make one Baneling somewhat useful, but there is still one defensive Baneling behind. They got the larva and got a couple of drones very low on HP, but he needs to worry about keeping his own drones alive. Loses one to a couple of links of Reynor there.
Yeah, definitely something to be careful of, as we do see Laz finishing soon. I mean, when was the last time you saw these two play just straight up Roach versus Roach against each other? I feel like that doesn't happen a lot in CVZ nowadays in general, but with Serral and Reynor and all the mind games, even less so. I kind of like this game and how it's going. I kind of hope we don't see a Spire from either as well, so we can really just see like Roach versus Roach Wars. I think that'd be amazing.
With some tunneling claws as well.
Yeah.
That's what I think both of them are incredibly good at. I always think back of one crazy game that Serral had once upon a time against Trap at IM Katowice, where he just got so much value out of Roaches with tunneling claws. 8 drones went down there in the third base of Reynor. So while we were focusing on these links, trying to get a cancel on that hatchery, Serral was able to squeeze 2 Banelings into a mineral line, get 8 drone kills. Serral already going up to 4 bases, and Reynor is like, well, Wardy, F you. I'm going for a Spire anyway.
God damn it, Reynor. I wanted one thing in this game, and you just couldn't give it to me. Yeah, Spire on the way up then. Well, we'll see if Serral can be prepared for it. He's setting up a Dropper Lord Serral with Overlord speed about to finish. So he's already thinking about ways in which he can be aggressive, but maybe trying to start thinking as well about ways in which you can, deal with meters too. But he doesn't have that info yet, as the Overseer is going to go scouting.
Yep, that is a very speedy Overseer that's going to give Serral the exact heads up of when this Spire is done. It's kind of funny how Serral was morphing that Drop Lord right next to an Overlord of Reynor. I'd be very shocked to see this Baneling drop be very successful, but hey, we have seen crazier things today. Baneling drop comes in, it was quite obvious. Reynor not paying attention though. That is a lot of low HP drones, and it's not done yet. Serral wants a bit more. Serral has 1 Baneling left.
Yeah, he's just gonna fly out with it. There's so many drones, even worth getting just like a couple or something, but he doesn't go for it. I am a little bit surprised about that.
Yep, Serral's making a lot of roaches and also queuing up an infestation pit, and still a couple of extra queens too. I think this one Baneling, 2 more.
A little bit more damage done at the end then, as we settle down and continue on with our game here. I'm just going to be having an attack from Reynor moving across towards the other side, but then that's going to get turned around a little bit too, so and a little bit crazy. Here come the first mutas showing up, but Serral's already setting up with the Infestors. He obviously got that scout, and he knew what he wanted to do with it, so he's already getting himself prepared.
Yep. Serral has to worry about the Reynor special, which is, hey, I'm a Spire, I'm gonna make 5 mutas, and then you get really ready for mutas, and then Reynor maxes out on the roaches and the ravages and pounces on your army that's a bit smaller because you've been investing in spore crawlers, maybe infestors or hydras. And that is kind of what is happening. Reynor is creating a little lead for himself, but I feel that Serral has the right information. He knows that this is not all-out mutas, because if it was, Reynor would already be at 10 plus, and it's still just those 5 guys flapping around.
Yeah. Like, and if we're in just 4 here, so 5 drops to 4. As Reynor's still trying to launch an attack over in towards the more centralized area. I mean, of course, those infests are just nice to have for all of their different uses. We do pick up a couple of change lanes. I'm just going to be seeing Serral. It's going to be counterattacked on the natural, though, so Reynor's chance to maybe get even more drones and to fight back a little bit. Reynor in general just has more workers here as well, so they're slowly mining more over time, something to keep in mind.
Yep. Nice job by Reynor getting a couple of roaches in the natural one. Very brave roaches in the main base, and It has to work 3 times as hard as the other roaches, but it is starting to find some nice economic damage. The downside of this for Reynor, though, is that Serral is going to max out on more army supply. Serral is going to rebuild a couple of the drones he just lost. I'm really surprised that Reynor is this aggressive, knowing that Serral has infestors on the map. It feels like Reynor is playing a dangerous game, but he's getting away with it for now. Will he be able to keep getting away with it, though?
Well, we'll find out as we see a pretty good defensive split here from Serral. I feel like I like where he's set up at the moment, as we're going to be getting ourselves fights all over the place. The Fungal does catch mutas, but they split away from the Biles. I mean, Reynor didn't really manage to do too much anywhere, though, so that didn't go too well.
No, it really didn't. Serral indeed with a very good defensive split, just leaving the right amount of units at the top side, kept him safe. And these roaches can now get a cancel on this hatchery in the top right side. You look at the tech, the hive is more than halfway done for Jonas Sutala. Meanwhile, Reynor not working on hive tech. Well, he is actually working on hive tech, but it just started. Not canceling that hatchery though. Reynor now wants to catch these roaches, but the reinforcements of Serral are already here, and it just feels everywhere I look. I like what I see for Serral, and I feel that Reynor is in serious trouble in this game.
He's definitely the one who wants to make a move, but making a move and being forced to make a move is generally not where you want to be. He's either going to add extra DPS into this fight as Serral will stand, and can he just trade out against these roaches successfully? I like that Reynor dives forwards, targeted a couple of Hydras, but now a Fungal lands, and that'll just help Serral that little more, though he's still being pushed back. He's got some Queens showing up to the fight, and some transfusions would not go amiss on some of these lower health units. I mean, Reynor dives for a hatchery, which it looks as though will be kept alive.
Oh my
5
goodness.
transfusions, and Reynor just gave up so many units to try and get a hatch that doesn't die, and he's losing drones at home as well.
The Queens from downtown with the clutch transfuse, keeping that base alive. All of this was happening. Serral split off a couple of units and got 10 drone kills too, just to make things even worse for Reynor, who did get a good fight there, but then just stayed around a little bit too long. Now the Lurker Den is already done for Serral. So the first lurkers are on the way. He can also start on those feisty lurker upgrades. Reynor has hive, but he doesn't have a lurker den, so I think he might just want to get a couple vipers, right? And he's going to try to abduct the lurkers if Serral's lurker count does get up there.
Yeah, definitely what you kind of need to be doing. You need an answer to those as that seismic spines is tickling along. It's going to be ready fairly soon. So at least Reynor will have a way to play against them, but I don't know if it's going to be a really convincing way of playing against them, right? I mean, it's nice, but how long can you keep that up for? Will it really do you well enough? I mean, that's my question. I'm just not sure if it will be, so we'll
I would
find
have
out.
liked it a lot if he got that 4 base or 5 base against the 3 base scenario. Then I'd be like, you know what? This can absolutely work, you know, because every lurker you pick off is going to be a very difficult one to replace. Serral's already attacking with lurkers, send a couple of them to the other side of the map. This is so annoying for Reynor, because now he's forced to go all the way back home. And by the time that he's done cleaning these 2 up, Serral will have both lurker upgrades. And this army of Serral is just getting more and more powerful. Yeah, buddy. Maybe if he got that hatchery, but since he didn't get it, I'm totally with you.
Yeah, and he's obviously just, I mean, Serral's army's going to get in position as well. Perhaps the lurkers are going to be able to somewhat cover that ramp if he burrows up right now. And that means that this base is in a lot of trouble. Serral just going to take the fight while he can. The units back away, and now he can pick up the base on the follow-up as well. And that's just going to be that hatchery going down relatively easily. A couple of roaches just going to be trying to save these drones from that lurker. I mean, drones have just been dropping. It feels like forever for Reynor, and he's just about somehow still maxed out, but it won't last much longer because he does not have that much money left.
Nope. We do have a couple of Vipers here. Blinding Cloud goes down. We do have one abduct, but you look at the bank of Serral. I feel like Serral could lose his entire army without killing a whole lot, and he'd still be okay in this game. One lurker is going to burrow in the front line. The abducts of Reynor are really good, actually. Reynor making the absolute best of this fight. Is that going to be enough to win the game? I highly doubt it, because Serral's economy is just so much better. The tech is better, and we can always get a defensive lurker or two. But Reynor doing about as well as one possibly could have, but that's a big fungal coming out of Serral.
Massive fungal. Those roaches are hurting big time, and Reynor's going to run for his life because the moment those roaches take a hit, they are going to fall down dead. And he knows it. And obviously, Serral's got a couple units here, just picking away at this hatchery, making sure Reynor has no real way to get back into this game. He is going to get rid of these couple units. The roaches here going for the roach roaring as well, going to kill that off. And obviously, Reynor hasn't got a replacement one of those just yet, so that's another annoyance. Man.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing that maybe Reynor could do is just try to max out. He only has 49 drones, which means we can have a 151 army supply. You've got 5 Vipers, a couple of great blinding clouds, or just abducts on all the lurkers. Maybe Wadi, a tiny chance, but it is going to be a Hail Mary play because Reynor knows he's not going to win this game if it goes on for a whole lot longer. It's now or never. Let's see how good these Vipers really are.
Yeah, we're gonna go for it. Here we go. Blinding clouds all over the place, but on both sides as well. So Reynor's units are also kind of derping forward and not attacking all the time. It is not a pretty fight, and it definitely isn't a good enough fight to turn this around. Game is called, and Serral is going to take this victory, and we will have Serral at the season finals.